We see a lot of projects where price is still the most important factor.
It's kind of making mobility a no-brainer, we always say, because also for the operators, but also for the passengers, saying it shouldn't be complicated, it shouldn't be complex to use public transit.
But the next big step we have to take is how will we use Gen AI in future, and are we brave enough?
So how can we make it easy for the customers to really want to buy something and trust us that we can do it without a lot of disruptions and provide the best for them?
In such a way that the trains can still run reliably and safely.
Really interesting because we are collaborating with, for example, startups like Uber, like those sharers, and you get an insight into how they work. And apart from connecting our services on a tech base, it's super interesting to get insights on how do you solve problems, how do you approach, for example, the user needs, what did you learn, what we expect in the rail industry. And sometimes we're so in our tunnel that we think we know the customer so well, and then looking left and right and seeing and learning, hey, there's different approaches or different things to consider. It's really a big benefit and we really profit from it a lot.
For me, being responsible for pre-development, the biggest challenge nowadays is about finding experts. It's the war of talent.
But what we currently see is a high demand in projects, or a high demand in transport need, and a lot of projects that we are asked to offer. And we just have a limited expert pools. In my opinion, it's not just the war for experts, but it's that we need to really include different views in what we do. So, for example, the trains that we make, they are not just for one type of passenger, they are for different types of passengers. And the more perspectives we include in our development process or in our engineering, the better our trains and the more passengers we can meet outside.
And there's an immense growth also with us, and looking for the right people to do it, making things better, how we do it so that we don't need as many additional people as the growth is, and delivering on our promises.
I think another challenge for Turnkey is also financing. Of course, of these projects is always complex. In the end, it's a long cycle business where the projects take a very long time to materialize. So how can you also keep the business engaged into them? So basically in Turnkey what we're doing is we're taking the great products from our colleagues here, the electrification, the trains, and we deliver a full railway project to our customers. So of course, if you take the example of Egypt, where we electrifying 2,000 kilometers of network, that's going to be reducing 70% of the emissions compared to what they have at the moment. So we're also now looking into carbon certificates as well.
So while for your products and solutions we look into the direction of the operator, what we do is also look in the direction of the passenger. So how can we enable passengers to use those solutions? How do we make sure that they make the right sustainable decisions, leaving their car at home, using public transit? And that starts with not only going from station to station, but really from door to door. We can choose between the most sustainable options, the shortest, the cheapest, and so looking in this direction really helps, and is to address on rail.
When it comes to AI, of course, using AI means an impact to sustainability in terms of energy demand or water consumption. So AI can be an enabler for sustainability. However, we have to manage actively the negative impact on the environment layer.
Even for, I think, the signaling now that we just launched, the signaling in the cloud as well. Now that reduces the hardware in the end and the footprint that to manufacture. So even the signaling now is also contributing to sustainability.
I really see the change that people starting to understand that sustainability is not only about carbon footprint or hazard materials, etc. It's also about the social and the governance layer. And this is something I at least see in my job now, being responsible for implementation of AI in the products and AI and design processes. We really take care of nowadays. I would say we're still starting because now everybody is so excited about AI and about the technology. But there are nowadays also audits for us, which, let's say, controls us that we are not training our AI to be biased, etc. pp. So I would say it improves, but it's still a long way to address E, S, and G in total. Yeah.
I like how you refer to the environmental, social, and other aspects, because they do always play a role when we decide on which projects to bid for, to go for, and to develop. That's a very important aspect in our daily work, which it should be.
But at the same time, at least in rolling stock, not all the projects we see in the market value, for example, energy efficiency.
No.
We see a lot of projects where price is still the most important factor. And for us, it's really difficult if you do something in regards of energy efficiency. You probably do not have the cheapest product, and it's not valued when you bid. When you have a bid, customer discussion, tender.
The customer tender doesn't value.
Yeah, and that makes it really difficult to kind of go further with your innovations and with your technology.
But it's increasing actually.
Yeah,
so
it's increasing.
See, that a quarter or 30% of the tender evaluation criteria actually play into what does the product do in terms of sustainability and other aspects that are other than price. But I agree, it's a slow process.
It's on the maturity of the customers and so on.
Yes.
So I expect in future that we have tool chains, so that we avoid to have manual interfaces, that all of our tools are interconnected, that we exchange data, also with help of API, that our customers can connect to the same platform as we do. Yeah? And of course, also another step when it comes to AI is Gen AI. Yeah, that's now we have, of course, decision-based AI. We already have it in place in our products and also our design tools. But the next big step we have to take is how will we use Gen AI in future? And are we brave enough? And what does this mean to the users? We, of course, will do our part that we create trustworthy AI. That's an important point. But at the end of the day, I would say the users will decide.
And using AI also to make mobility, for us, is kind of making mobility a no-brainer, we always say. Because also for the operators, but also for the passengers, saying it shouldn't be complicated, it shouldn't be complex to use public transit, but it's rather something that comes naturally. I get support through Gen AI, but also as an operator, I get provided with the best ways how to operate my trains, how to most efficiently use capacity, how to best use the electricity that is there. Combining all this, I think that's a huge topic for the future.
Increasingly is the use of renewable energy to supply into railway networks. There's a big project coming up where a solar power plants, or actually several solar power plants, are part of our delivery to the customer. And then for the electrification part, we have to make sure that the, let's say, less stable grid that is a consequence out of using renewable energy is dealt with in such a way that the trains can still run reliably and safely.
I think for me, in the end, for mobility in general, not just turnkey, but I think that it's quite clear if you look at the mega trends, for example, that by 2030, I think the majority of the population will live in megacities. So it's clear that you have to have a strong, reliable transport in the cities and also a way of connecting those cities. A lot of cities are pedestrianizing the centers. They're not allowing any traffic anymore. So the market is there, but railway projects are challenging projects. They cost a lot of money. A lot of times you have to even close parts of this. So how can we make it easy for the customers to really want to buy something and trust us that we can do it without a lot of disruptions and provide the best for them and for everyone?